Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here. So the first order of business is to check on my mic. If you guys can hear me, please let me know. This is the first time that we're streaming after I'm back from London. So the setup is, I've just got back to my usual setup. So let me know if you guys can hear me clearly in the chat. If not, thank you all for coming down early. It is a midweek deadline this week. Lots of you guys already in the chat. Nice to see you. Alan, Henry, VJ, member as well as a moderator in the chat. Very nice to see you. Lost Aussie Abroad, Owen, Bob, Captain Harlan, very nice. Becky, Daniel Hasif, Ricky, nice to see you. All right, so mic's all good. Okay, so we can carry on. So, well, welcome to the Game Week 21 deadline stream. So, firstly, I do have to apologize for the lack of content because since I got back from London, I've been catching up a lot with work. Unfortunately, work has to take priority. So, yeah, I've kind of cleared as much work as I have. So hopefully from game week 21 onwards, game week 22 onwards, content will be back to normal. All right, so hopefully everyone has been good during this, I guess you can call it a small break from FPL, because we've had the EFL Cup, we've had the FA Cup, and basically just a little bit more of an extended period of time away from FPL. But that doesn't mean that there hasn't been developments in the FPL scene. We have a double game week announcement for game week 24 that a lot of people thought was going to be for game week 25, but now it's game week 24. There's also a potential game week 25 double that could be on the cards, but that is only dependent or we'll only know further news on it later down the line. And sorry if I can get my words out, and it depends on Tottenham and how far they progress in their respective competitions. But for now, the confirmed double is in game week 24. All right, so blanks as well. People are starting to kind of form their own predictions of when and who will blank. So Game Week 29 is looking like a rather smaller blank. Game Week 34 is likely to be a bigger blank. And then we have the double game weeks in 33 and 36. So a lot of things have happened. There's also been the assistant manager price reveals. But in all honesty, I think the assistant manager chip, like a lot of people are planning strategies around that yet. But I'll be honest, and I think that it is the toughest chip to decide when is the right time to play it. And my expectation, and also for myself as well, is that we just go along with analyzing the fixtures as the chip becomes available. So from Game Week 24 onwards, and if it makes sense, I'm not going to kind of hold back. If it makes sense, I don't mind just playing it early, even if it means Game Week 24. So for the time being, I think there are a couple of windows. I definitely want to play it in a double game week. So it is either going to be 24 all the way to 26, or 31 to 33, or 36 to 38. So these are the main windows that a lot of people are discussing right now. And I think it does make sense to play in the double because that is the chip with the highest potential. But I'm definitely going to play in a way to kind of maximize the table bonus. All right, so roughly, okay, I went on a bit of a rant, but I think roughly kind of covered what I wanted to cover in videos this week if I was to make it. But yeah, so that's my early thoughts, but I'm sure in the chat as we go along with all the questions that you guys will have more questions, and yeah, I'll just answer them as we go along. So thank you all for coming early. It's 3-4 hours before the deadline. As always, we're the early stream, right? So yeah, captaincy I see in the chat already is going to be a very difficult call. Captaincy is going to be a big one. Let's put a poll up. I currently have it on Isak, but he's yellow flagged. And based on what Eddie Howe just said about Alexander Isak, it is that he will have his first training session today, which is not ideal, right? He's probably going to be managed against Wolves in terms of minutes. So is 60-70 minutes of Isak going to be good enough for me? But yeah, I mean, something else about Isak is also that he's chasing the 8 goals in a row record for Newcastle. So yeah, there's things to consider in the captaincy space for sure. Already see you guys talking about it. If you have Haaland, you're probably laughing right now because that is a good fixture to captain Haaland in. Yeah, captaincy discussion is already ongoing. All right, so let's get a couple of things out of the way. Right, before we start, please do drop a like on the stream if you haven't already. Please do subscribe as well. I'll put up a captaincy poll right now so we can get going. As people enter the chat, they can poll who is their game week 21 captain. Could you guys do me a favor and spam in the chat right now who is your game week 21 captain? I'm going to assume that Salah is still up there. I mean, some people will still just go with the popular captain. But do me a favor and spam in the chat who is your captain, and I can see where you guys are looking at. But for now, I have Salah, Isak, and Palmer. Let me know who else you guys are considering. I imagine Bruno Fernandes is up there as well. Palmer, yeah, Isak, Salah. I'll get to the questions in a bit. Bruno. Yeah, Bruno. Okay. Let's put up a captaincy poll. Let me know who you guys are captaining. For now, I have it on Isak, but by no means is it confirmed. Right, so let's get to all your questions. Martin, nice to see you in the chat. Benchwood or Rogers or Jao Pedro. So the thing with Jao Pedro, I know some people are reading the quotes in a certain way. Basically, what Hertzler said was that Jao Pedro is going to train and then there will be a decision made on him. They will not take any risks. I'll remember that I had Jao Pedro earlier on in the season. And I remember playing him after hearing Hertzler saying these words, and then he didn't start. Jao Pedro didn't start. Right. So I remember this very distinctly earlier on in the season. So I'm not gonna say, I mean, I don't have Jao Pedro. Right. So it's an easier, I guess, decision or it's easier for me to say that I'll be benching him if I own him. But I think when you look at the fixture being Ipswich away, maybe it's slightly tougher for those of you guys who actually have a decision to make there. But I do think like it is risky. Like I'm less confident of Jao Pedro starting than many people are. You could always gamble on the fact that if he doesn't start, maybe he doesn't come on as well. But I won't say that this is the kind of situation where I think he wouldn't come on. Like it's totally possible for him to just maybe come on in the last few minutes if he doesn't start. Should we keep Luis Diaz? I mean, he's been rested the past few games. I do think like he will play the Nottingham Forest game. But what doesn't bode well for Diaz is that Slot has come out to say that Jota is now fit for 90 minutes. And yeah, he's back to full fitness. So it's just someone else that could fit in the number 9 spot in place of Luis Diaz. And on the left, he's competing with Gakpo. So yeah, I think it's hard to say, but I don't think he's a definite sell. I don't think he's a definite sell. I don't mind holding on to him one more week, to be honest. Like if I had him. Benching dilemma. Start Rogers, Colwell, or Wood. I'm gonna say Rogers and Wood. Like I'm really not confident of the Chelsea defense against Bournemouth. Which defenders should I start out of? Trent, Konza, Gahey, Robinson, and Saliba. I'm gonna go Robinson and Trent as the two that you should start first. And then maybe you put Konza up there because he's playing Everton away. Right. Gahey has Leicester. I mean, Leicester, I do think is a slightly better attack than Everton, if I'm honest. But the thing is, David Moyes is now in. What is your expectation of Everton and how they will play? It's hard to say, right? Because it's going to be David Moyes' first game. So I'd say Trent, Konza, and then Robinson. I think benching Saliba against Tottenham should be easier than benching Gabriel. Like if I had Gabriel, I would start him because his goal threat is so huge. But with Saliba, I think it's slightly easier to bench. I have a funny feeling Forest will upset Liverpool. You're not the only one. You're not the only one. Many feel this way. Which is why I am just not certain on captaincy. Like even if I don't captain Isak, I don't think I go to the Salah, you know. Which begs the question, like, should he even be my vice captain? Like Nottingham Forest away is not an easy game at all. Nottingham Forest this season are really, really good. And Liverpool have lost one game this season, and it's Nottingham Forest at Anfield. Jesus for Mateta or play Jao Pedro? All right. So on the possibility of saving transfers, what I'll say is that if you are able to roll transfers, I think it is worth it, right? Especially accumulating transfers or as many as you can up till we get more information. Because by the game week 24 deadline, we would actually have more clarity. Like if, for example, double game week 25 was to happen, depending on whether Tottenham progress in their respective competitions, then you may want to change up your strategy. So saving transfers right now is very, very important. So it's honestly what I would advise. So if you have, say, for example, Jao Pedro on the bench, and Sorry, let me go back to the question. Yeah, if you have João Pedro on the bench that you can just start, and then you bench Jesus. I mean, the thing with Jesus is that he has an ACL injury, so he's not going to be coming back anytime soon this season. So you could just make the swap to Mateta as a longer term move. But I also wouldn't mind just playing João Pedro. I think because there is a risk that João Pedro doesn't play, I might lean towards doing the Jesus to Mateta move for that particular situation, Jinwei. But the thing is, if for everyone else, right, if you're in a position where you can roll transfers, I would honestly advise to roll the transfers. Especially at this stage of the season, I guess. Do I keep Isak? Of course you keep Isak. Bench 2 from Munoz, Gabriel, Virgil van Dijk, Hall, Wood, Ahmad, and Rogers. Wow. Tricky. Ahmad, I'll definitely play against Southampton, and he should be fine. There was a bit of a he was carrying some small injury. That's why he didn't start against Arsenal. But then he came on towards the end of the game. So, and he scored the one of the penalties as well. I think Ahmad I definitely start, and I will start Rogers ahead of these defenders too. To be honest, so I'll start Gabriel. I'll start Munoz and Hall. I think it comes down to benching either one of Van Dijk or Chris Wood, which is tricky. Which is tricky. It is tricky. Toby says, let's go Game Week 21. Would you swap Trent and Murphy to Gordon and Konate? Trent and Murphy to Gordon and Konate, I don't think I would do it. The thing with selling Trent right now is that you don't really know whether he's going to lose his spot. Like, there's a lot of speculation, but no one knows for certain whether he's going to lose his spot. It's all speculation at this point. All right. Diaz or Gibbs White to bench? I have to back the better attack. But I actually do favor Nottingham Forest to pull an upset against Liverpool. I would still go Diaz based on the fact that I think he's been rested for the past few games. He should start this game. And I still do expect Liverpool to walk away with a win. The only thing is that I wouldn't be surprised if an upset happens. So it's a tricky situation, but I'll probably lean towards Diaz. Who should I start in the back three with? Trent, Gahey, Robinson, Konza, and Saliba. I go Robinson, Trent, and Konza. I'll bench Gahey and I'll bench Saliba. Becky says, thoughts on clean sheets this week? Having a hard time to decide to start one between Lewis and Mikalenko. The other two starting would be Van Dijk, Robinson, and bench Collins. I think you definitely bench Collins. So it's Lewis and Mikalenko. I would probably lean towards starting Lewis. I'll probably start Lewis and I bench Mikalenko. Bench Sells or Flecken. I'll probably start Sells, Bench João Pedro or Rogers or Semenyo. I would start João Pedro. And then between Rogers and Semenyo. You see, the thing with Semenyo is it's interesting because the past or the game that Bournemouth played recently, it was Dango Utara who was the one who was playing the striker position, and Semenyo was playing as a number 10. So it's actually better for Semenyo that he's playing through the middle in terms of the chances he'd be getting. So I think it's actually Semenyo at a central position is interesting. But I mean, in terms of the fixture, you would probably back Rodgers to get something against Everton than Semenyo getting something against Chelsea. So I'll probably go with João Pedro and Rodgers. Also, it's been a while since we've had a deadline stream, to be honest. It's been a while. I miss doing these deadline streams. Option 1, Rogers to Ahmad. Option 2, Odegaard to Bruno. Option 3, Roll. I take option 2, Odegaard to Bruno. I do option 2. John says, I've got Pedro, Isak, and Wood. Should I play all three and hope for the best? Yeah, well, it depends. Who else is on your bench that you would rather start ahead of these three? I'll just say that starting those three is not the worst thing in the world. Whereas Haaland is a captain option. I can't fit him in though. There's Salah, Isak, Palmer, and Bruno already. And currently, Isak is the one that is leading. I think it's still. I mean, the flag obviously hasn't put many people off, and I do think that Isak will start. It's just a question of whether I'm okay to take 60 to 70 minutes of Isak. Like, is that something I'm okay with against Wolves at home? Which I would say that I'm okay with 60 to 70 minutes because my expectation is if he only plays 60 to 70, by then they probably have the game wrapped up already, in which case you would expect Isak has gotten some goals. So for now, it is still on Isak. If I'm to consider another captain, it would either be the very boring option of going with Mo Salah as the captain or going Cole Palmer. I pretty much don't have any other player in my team that I'd be happy to captain aside from Isak, Palmer, and Salah. Have two free transfer Solanke, Enzo to Eze, Raul Jimenez, or Vardy, or roll and start Rogers and Solanke. I think you roll and you start Rogers and Solanke. Start Wood or Enzo, Selt versus Fabianski. I think it's tempting to start Fabianski. I'd probably go Fabianski ahead of Cells. And then between Wood or Enzo, I definitely start Wood. I go Wood over Enzo. Haaland cap. Yeah, if you're Haaland captain, just let me know in the chat. Like, there's no option for the Haaland captain, but I imagine there will be people captaining Haaland. January says, exactly my thoughts about the Jesus and João Pedro issue. Save your chances if you can. Don't be afraid to use them, since João Pedro in particular is a risk to start. Good luck, everyone. Well, yeah, I do think like it makes sense to just sell Jesus since he's not going to be available for a long period of time. Are you confident in Isak's minutes? Yeah, not exactly, as I've said. Not exactly. Keep Martinelli tempted by Manchester United but can't go to Bruno. So would you swap to Ahmad? No, I just keep Martinelli. Semyon says, I've wildcarded, not sure on a few. Team is Raya. What would I change? If I do have a wildcard draft on the Instagram page, my front three actually wouldn't have Haaland. I still go without Haaland on the wildcard. I'd actually go with Isak, Mateta, and Chris Wood as the front three for my wildcard. But you would be benching Chris Wood this week if I was wildcard. Let me pull up the wildcard draft. Right. So the wildcard draft that I've made is currently on the Instagram page for FPL Consult, but I have Cells and Fabianski as the keepers, and then there is I'll be starting Fabianski if I went with this wildcard. I'd be starting Fabianski, and then it's Gabriel, Trent, Hall, Munoz, and Castagna. As you can see, already definitely a benching headache because you would only want to be starting regularly, right? Three out of these five defenders. But for this week, because I have Chris Wood up front, then I've decided to start four of these defenders. So you probably go with a 4-4-2 this week. I have Raul Jimenez up front, not Mateta, right? So four at the back this week. If I'm to bench one of them, it come down to either Castagna or Munoz, which is likely going to be Castagna that I'd be benching, right? So if I was going to go with this wild card, it'd be Gabriel, Trent, Hall, and Munoz as the back four. Midfield kind of sets itself. It's Salah, Palmer, Gordon, Rogers, and Sa. But I'm going to have Rogers on the bench with the 4-4-2 formation that we're playing if I was to go with this draft. And then Isak up front with Raul Jimenez as the front two, and then Chris Wood on the bench. So if I was the wild card, I'd probably go with something like this. The reason why I haven't gone with Mateta in this draft is because you cover the Crystal Palace attack with Ismail Assar, but you could obviously go for someone like Ebrici Eze instead of Ismail Assar if you wanted to. All right, so I would say that if you have more money, I would make the upgrade. This draft, I think, is about 100.2 million, but many people are at a point in time where, or your team value right now, many people have, I think, 104. I've even seen 105s. So you probably can afford the upgrade from Ismail Assar up to Eze, so I'll probably do it if you can. Yeah, that's how the wildcard that I have roughly looks like. Currently 20th in your mini league. Very, very nice. Hi mate, big fan. Thank you very much. Should I get Bruno, Gordon, or Mbumo? This week, if I was buying one, I would buy Anthony Gordon. If I was buying a player this week. Yes, I wouldn't buy Bruno Fernandes. I would actually buy Anthony Gordon. But I'm warming to the idea. I mean, definitely Bruno is a fine asset to have. It's just that I think the extra cost saving for someone like Gordon in a Newcastle attack that is more consistent than the Manchester United attack, I think we can agree on that. I'd be happy to just go with Gordon. So if it's between those three, I'd be going for Gordon. Start Wood or Murphy. I think Murphy would be fine. Like, based on Eddie Howe's latest comments in the press conference, he said that he is confident that those who missed out last weekend in the FA Cup would be fine to play midweek, right? So Murphy should be fine to play. But if you're not certain about it, because he's yellow flagged right now, and you rather start Wood with more certainty, fair enough. I just think Murphy is probably fine to start. So that's what I would do. Are you really going for Isak captain? For now, I still am on Isak captain. We'll see where I land, but it's either one of Isak, Salah, and Palmer. But I really don't want to captain Salah this week. Like, if I'm honest, I really don't want to captain Salah. I don't want to captain Salah just because everyone's going to do it. I'm genuinely thinking, how many points is Salah going to score? I wouldn't be surprised if he walks away with one attacking return. I would be very surprised if he walks away with 3 attacking returns, in which case it will be a major rank killer if I don't captain him. But yeah, I think 1 is pretty much, where I'm looking. His ceiling this game week is not as high as it would be in other game weeks, which is why I think there is an opportunity to just captain someone else. So for now, it's Isak. If I don't captain Isak, I think I just go to Palmer. Like, I don't think I would captain Salah. I just wouldn't be happy with myself if I captain Salah. Is Mateta worth captaining as a differential? If he was in better form, I probably would. But right now, I think if you captain him, pretty much taking a gamble. If you're chasing rank, I guess you can. I might consider it if there's more certainty that he's definitely on penalties, but now it's almost as if I don't know for sure. Like if Eze is on the pitch, maybe Eze might take it. If it was Mateta from game week 37 or 38 last season, Captain Mateta without batting an eyelid. Rogers or João Pedro on the bench. Greetings from Paraguay. Thank you for tuning in. Rogers or João Pedro on the bench. I think because there's so much uncertainty on João Pedro, I'll probably bench him and start Rogers instead. Liverpool double game week is also tricky. 12-day gap between the games. You're exactly right, GV. So this double for game week 24 is tricky to attack. There's quite a number of games. I don't think it's only the Tottenham game that's in between. There's probably one more game as well if I check the schedule correctly just now. So there's going to be massive rotation, I imagine. So even more reason to go with the safer picks that we usually go for. Like Van Dijk, for example. Like even Trent, if I'm honest, I don't even think he is guaranteed to start both games. If he starts against Spurs, which is going to be between the two games, the two double game week games, two double game week games, the two games that would be in the double game week for Liverpool, which is Bournemouth away and Everton away. Between those two games, it'll be Spurs. If Trent plays in the Spurs game, I honestly would be worried about his minutes for the second game. Not that I would sell Trent right now. It's just because I don't have him, I'm just thinking whether I need to bring him in or not. But someone like Van Dijk, I know for sure is going to start. Alisson, for example, Salah, the safe picks. But yeah, I mean, the fact that there's 12 days between the two games, I think those risky picks like Gakpo, Diaz that are going to be in some people's teams, I'm not fully convinced yet. I'm not fully convinced. Four defenders, choose three. Mazraoui, Hall, Robinson, Munoz, and Timber. Timber should be fine for the game. But he arguably has the worst fixture. Robinson and Munoz and Hall all have really good fixtures as well, to be honest. You know what? I might bench... it might sound crazy, but I might bench Timber. Should I do Timber to Munoz for free? Nah, I don't think it's a transfer that you need to make. Usually in other game weeks, I would say yes, but now that it's game week 21 already, and yeah, there's so much more information to learn for the next few game weeks. I think if it's not a transfer that is obvious that you need to make, just save the transfer and just use it later on when you have more information. Best Jesus replacements, Mateta, Raul, or Chris Wood. I would be tempted with Mateta. I'm saying this not because I have Mateta, but the fixture run that he has is really, really good. Right, and now does not seem like the best entry point for Chris Wood, especially if you need to start him this week. Okay, I'm gonna have to go quicker in the questions. If I miss your question, just please help me out and type it in again. I'm gonna have to go a little bit quicker because I'm so far behind in the chat. But yeah, thanks for sending in your questions. If you guys haven't liked the stream yet, please do drop a like. We are on 42 likes right now. We usually try to aim for 100 likes every single stream. So please do drop a like on the stream if you haven't already. All right, Foden to Gordon. No, I wouldn't make that move. João Pedro or Wood or Raul Jimenez. I would start Raul Jimenez this week. Gonna speed through the questions. Salah hat trick? I don't think so. Not famous last words, but I don't think so. Who's the best top 3 for Game Week 21 now? I would imagine you're talking about the front 3. I would still say Isak is in there. And I would have Chris Wood still. Right, despite him playing Liverpool, I think how consistent he is this season. Firstly, I won't be surprised if Chris Wood gets something against Liverpool. But secondly, I think over the longer term, you'll be happy to have Chris Wood. He's really good value. He's on penalties, playing for a team that is third in the Premier League right now. For attacking numbers as well, maybe they don't put up as good attacking numbers, but Chris Wood is that kind of player. I mean, you know how he's been performing this season. I don't really need to justify Chris Wood. And then the last player, as a bit of a, I don't know, a lot of people are selling Nicholas Jackson right now, but I actually don't mind holding on to Nicholas Jackson. So I might have Nicholas Jackson as the third one, right, in the top 3. But if it's not him, then it comes down to one of a few forwards that you could go for in the last forward spot. Mateta, Raul Jimenez, they're all up there. All right, so it's the top 3 right now, especially this like best top 3 kind of debate is, I've seen it going around on Twitter or on X or whatever you call it, but I don't think there's ever a best. Like this season as well, like something I feel has happened over the course of the last few game weeks is people selling good players for other good players, and then the players that you sell return. Right, so I think it's a good thing that pricing this season is just done so well, and the couple of, there are a couple of players in the midfield positions as well as the forward positions that are popping up as really good options that maybe at the start of the season they won't, like Mateta, for example, Foden, for example. Like all these players are popping up as decent enough options to give us considerations to move towards them when at the start of the season they won't. Afraid of minutes control on Isak. Yeah, I have the same concerns as well. Captain Haaland should be on the poll. Yeah, I just don't have enough space for him. But the thing is, I do imagine there will be people on Haaland captain. Isak is on 38% now, by the way. Roberto says, I have Jesus, planning to start Rodgers instead of bench. Jesus. The thing is, you probably lose value on him. If dropping by 0.1, for example, doesn't affect you, I don't mind just benching him for Rodgers, only because he's someone like Rodgers. One of the situations just now that we had was that João Pedro was going to be the one coming in, right? And if João Pedro is the one that you have to play instead of Jesus, then there's enough risk for me to just make the transfer to sell Jesus. But because your replacement is Rodgers, I think that is fine. And yeah, benching Jesus, you will use a free transfer to deal with him next week. So yeah, I think it's fine. I have Gordon, Isak, and Hall, and Salah, Van Dijk, and Diaz. I don't like how my team is dependent on 2 teams. What should be my transfer plans? So what I'll say is that you are pretty well prepared for double game week 24. You're pretty well prepared because you have your Liverpool players. The only thing is Diaz, I wouldn't be super confident on firstly his minutes over the double, and also his minutes for the next few single game weeks where Jota is already ready and fit to go. Right? And also now there's going to be lots of, if you have a look at the fixture schedule right now, all the way until, I don't know, the end of the season, there's only really 2 to 3 game weeks where They play on the weekend and they rest in the midweek and then they play the weekend again where they have a proper week of rest. There's only going to be 2 or 3 times that this happens from now until the end of the season. Think about that for a while and just realize how many minutes the players are going to be playing and how rotation is definitely going to be a concern moving forward. Right? So I think Diaz, I'll probably look to sell him, but is this the week to do it? Because he probably starts against Nottingham Forest is my guess. But yeah, I think the rest of your players, I don't imagine you'd be selling them. Like Gordon, Isak, Hall against Wolves, you're definitely not selling them. Salah as well, Van Dijk. I think Diaz the only one I think to look. I think to move out. Would you be tempted to captain Haaland if you still own him? Yes, very much so. Very much so. I think if you have Haaland this week, it's a great excuse for you to just go against Salah, go against Isak, and just fight the effective ownership. Roger, nice to see you in the chat. Managed to catch your live stream. Have a little benching headache this week. Which two would you play out of Mbeumo, Watkins, and Rogers? I would start Mbeumo is what I'd say. Because it's Man City. So I will start Mbeumo, and it's between Watkins and Rogers. I might go Watkins ahead of Rogers because Watkins has greater goal threat. Bench one, Murphy, Mbeumo, and Rogers. I bench. I do think Murphy starts though. In which case, I think that is a better fixture for Murphy than Rogers. But given that he is just going to be coming back from injury, maybe I take Rogers 90 minutes, then Murphy is maybe 60, 70 minutes. So I might just bench Murphy here. Start Wood or Rogers, and do you think Timber will start, or should I do Timber to Munoz? I would start Rogers ahead of Wood. Do I think Timber will start, or should I do Timber to Munoz? I also think that Timber will start, right, based on the press conference that we saw. Are you taking a chance on starting Isak when you don't know if it's confirmed he will play or not? I'm pretty certain, right, there's no 100% confirmation, but based on what we saw, from the press conference quotes, it is that Eddie Howe said Isak is going to be raring to go simply because he wants to chase that record that he's currently holding right now or in contention to break. And then the other thing is also that he will be having a training session before today, right? Before they actually play Wolves. So I do think he's going to be back in training, despite this being the first training session he's had since he's been injured. It's that kind of situation where I think as long as he's even, marginally fit, he would be playing. And then maybe they just take him off at 60, 70 minutes. I do think that is what's going to happen with Isak. I'm on a wild card. Should I sell João Pedro? Only have another 0.1 in the bank. Selling him would only allow me 5.6 to spend for a different forward. Then no. Because I think at that price point, he's one of those that offers the best value. Isak, Murphy, João Pedro, or yellow flag. Should I drop any of these? Honest answer is no. I honestly think that they should be fine, especially Isak and Murphy. João Pedro, I'm slightly less confident of. FPL Down Under, nice to see you. Ian, nice to see you in the chat as well, member. Should I transfer Mateta in for Jackson? It does feel like a bit of a luxury transfer, right? Especially now, I think I would just try to not make luxury transfers and safe transfers, because with each game week that goes on, we're just going to get more and more information. So yeah, I'll probably save the transfer. Enzo or Robinson? I prefer to start Robinson. VJ. We are on 66 likes right now. So thank you all for helping us to hit 66 likes. We are, if my math is going to do me right, it's 34 likes away from 100 likes. So please do help me out and hit the like button if you haven't. Start Rogers or Wood. I will start Rogers over Wood. Last free transfer, Mikalenko to Hall or Anderson to Munoz. I would keep your Everton assets. Like now you say that you wouldn't want like you basically say you don't know if it's worth keeping Everton for the double. I would say that it is worth, like you would try to generally have as many double game week players as possible, especially now with Mikalenko in your team already. May as well just keep him. So it is between Mikalenko to Hall or Anderson to Munoz. So already don't like the first one. Anderson to Munoz. I guess you could do Anderson to Munoz. I prefer that move over the first one. Just give me a moment. All right. Start Raul or Chris Wood. Definitely Raul Jimenez. Bench Raul Jimenez or Ismail Assar. I'd want to start both, to be honest. Is there anyone else you can bench? Who would you pick as a differential? Savinho, Eze, or Ismail Assar? Eze. I pick Eze as my differential if I was choosing one this week. Mazraoui or Timber? João Pedro or Chris Wood playing 11? I would go Mazraoui over Timber, and then João Pedro or Chris Wood. I think I would start João Pedro ahead of Chris Wood. Start Rogers or Semenyo. I would start Rogers ahead of Semenyo. Wow, these are tricky. It's getting tricky this week. Oh, I missed the question. With the triple captain and assistant manager discussions, I realized that I still have bench boost, so it would be a headache to strategize with the upcoming double game weeks. I guess to just make it simpler, if I had the triple captain, I almost certainly would use it in game week 24. Just to get it out of the way, it is the least. Oh, okay, maybe I rephrase. It is the chip with the, I guess, most amount of luck involved. Like you can't really plan exactly when is the best game week to use it. All you can do is just hope that if you play in the double, the chance of your player returning a high score is double the chance because it's 2 games. But yeah, it is the chip that relies the most on luck. So I get it out of the way and then plan your assistant manager chip first before looking at your other chips like your wildcard, your bench boost, etc. Right, so I would say if I had all the chips, I would be very tempted to just triple captain Salah in game week 24, double game week 24. Any chance to captain Foden? I don't think so. Probably wouldn't do that. Very unlikely to do that. Oh, we are 10 likes away from our 100 like target. Incredible. Start Wood or Semenyo? I would start Semenyo ahead of Wood. Trent plus Enzo to Gordon and Hall for a -4. The thing is, any moves that sells Trent, I would really just wait. Like, firstly, you save a transfer, and there's no necessity to sell someone like Trent at this point. Like if he starts the next few, say in game week 21, 22, 23, he starts, I am almost certain you will want him for the double in 24 as well. So we just wait, keep trend, and see what happens. Like I feel like a lot of people are overreacting to the situation with Trent. Like holding him for this Nottingham Forest game is really not the worst thing in the world. If I had Trent, I'd almost definitely keep him. Sean says, I have 3 free transfers. Should I get Ahmad in for Enzo to get a Manchester United cover this week? Considering Murphy also because Ahmad might take Dalo's wing-back role. I'm pretty certain Ahmad will take Dalo's wing-back role because Dalo's suspended. Ahmad in for Enzo. The thing with Murphy is that he's also yellow flag, so I'm not certain you'd be very comfortable going for someone like Murphy as well. You know, I think you just hold. If you're not moving to someone like a Bruno Fernandes or Gordon, I think you just hold on to Enzo. I don't think it's worth making that transfer. Who should I transfer Jesus out for or start Rodgers and leave Jesus on the bench? If Rodgers is your replacement or the player that you're going to start instead of Jesus, I don't mind rolling the transfer, especially if you can take the price drop. Are you sticking with Isak captain? Yeah, that's a great question. Okay, back to the captaincy discussion. We are on 37% for Isak and 32% for Salah. It's getting closer now as more and more people vote. If you haven't already, please vote in the poll who your captain is. We've seen 430 votes already, and 37% are going for Isak. Man, I tell you, it is tricky, this one. Isak will play Wolves tomorrow night. Palmer plays Bournemouth tonight. Salah also plays Forest tonight. Right, I think I'm pretty certain of a couple of things. I'm pretty certain that I won't be captaining Salah. If I don't captain Isak, I will captain Palmer. But for now, I still have it on Isak. Yes, for now, I'm still sticking with Isak to answer the question. Start Murphy and Chris Wood. If it's between Murphy and Chris Wood, then I would start Chris Wood because there is enough uncertainty about Murphy to just push me to start someone that's going to get 90. I think even if Murphy starts, he probably gets 60, 70. Thoughts on Bruno captain? I like it. I mean, I've seen a couple of questions further down the chat. Is it worth going for a differential captain? Like basically this week is the week to go different. Like especially a week where there's no standout captain. If you need someone to just push you to go for a differential, just go for it. In simple terms, if I had Bruno Fernandes, I would be very tempted to captain Bruno Fernandes, and it would be between him and someone like Isak for me. The downside is that for my team, I only have Palmer as the alternative. I would have hoped that I have Bruno Fernandes, if I'm honest. Thank you very much for 100 likes, by the way, everyone. We are on 106 likes. I really appreciate that. Thank you all very, very much. Start Mikalenko or Timber this week. Mikalenko or Timber. Mikalenko or Timber, I would... this is tricky again. I think I might lean towards Timber for this one. Anderson or Wood? I would go Wood. Bench 1, Gordon, Ahmad, Ismail Assar, Jackson, Isak, or Raul. Insane. All of them have insane fixtures. Like, who else are you starting? Give me more options. Sels or Raya? Who do I keep on the? I mean, if it's Sels or Raya, you definitely bench Sels this week, right? Against Liverpool. Start Wood or Rogers? I would start Rogers ahead of Chris Wood. Start Wood or Semenyo? I would start Semenyo ahead of Chris Wood as well. I wouldn't sell Semenyo for Sa and start Ismail Sa. I would start Semenyo ahead of Chris Wood. Isak to start. I do think like Isak will start if you're asking for my guess, I guess. Surely Trent doesn't start both in double. Would not be surprised. Completely benched in one of them. Yeah, I agree with that as well, to be honest. What would be your triple Liverpool players for double game week, or are you using the assistant manager? So I'll be honest with you. I think given that I don't have Trent right now, I'm really not fussed about like getting Trent into my team immediately. I really just want to take this time over the next few game weeks to assess whether Trent is seriously someone that I need in my team. If I do, I have an easy route to Trent. I can just do Saliba to Trent. But I'm not so certain that that is absolutely necessary right now. So yeah, I'm gonna take a couple of weeks to think about game weeks to think about Trent because I am able to. I don't have to move for him very, very soon. At least the soonest is 24 itself. But if I am to think of the ideal Liverpool 3 over the double, just because of how long the gap is in between the first and the second game for the double, I'm gonna say Van Dijk is my second favorite Liverpool player for the double. So it'd be Salah and then Van Dijk. Not even Trent, because I honestly think his minutes will be a concern over the two games. And the last one could probably be a tie between the assistant manager for Arne Slot or Trent or Alisson as the second Liverpool defensive cover. So I would say it's pretty much down to Salah, Van Dijk, and then either one of Slot, Trent, or Alisson. The thing is, I know a lot of people will be tempted with players like Gakpo and Diaz, but I'm gonna say right now that I think they are probably going to be rotated for the double, and I probably wouldn't move for them. So yeah. Palmer says, I think home game Palmer is better than yellow flag Isak. Is your name really Palmer though? Or is it just your username? Because for Palmer to say, I think home game Palmer is better than yellow flag Isak, might be a bit biased. Start Rogers or Enzo? Prefer Rogers. Start Jackson or Rogers? I'll start Jackson and Rogers. Imagine captaining Enzo or Gordon. I doubt that would happen though. Should I captain Ahmad? Like if you're thinking about captaining Ahmad, I'm pretty certain you're just, I don't know, gambling at this point. Like if it's I would say that Ahmad, among all the players that I have right now in my team, I'd even put like maybe Mateta ahead of Ahmad. If I'm to rank like the players that I could captain this week. Okay, please don't spam. Nicola, I'm gonna put you in timeout for a little bit, but please don't spam. So Vardiel or Rogers, just to quickly answer your question. Just quickly answer your question. Vardiel or Rogers? Probably Rogers, you know. I'll probably go Rogers ahead of Vardiel. Um, let me. Ooh. Why are you not doing Foden to Bruno? Seems like a no-brainer. I'm quite suspect of Manchester United still. Like I'm wary. Like you bear in mind the fact that before this win against um before the win against Arsenal in the FA Cup, everyone was still thinking that Manchester United was on a downward trend. So I think that that victory has really just suddenly brought Manchester United into the limelight again, and people think that now against Southampton, it's time to buy Bruno. It's time to get United players in. But I would remind people also that it is this same United team that pulled, I don't know, since game week 14, only one win in the Premier League, right? So you gotta bear that in mind as well. Right, so I don't want to be swept away into thinking that Bruno is a must-have this week and sell Foden, because I think Foden against Brentford is fine as well. So that's pretty much why I'm keeping him. VJ, thank you very much for being a member for 13 months. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. And thank you for the donation as well. Thank you very, very much. Right. Would you go Bruno captain ahead of Isak? I think I would. If I had Bruno Fernandes, I would captain Bruno Fernandes ahead of Isak. Start two of Semenyo, Gakpo, and Jackson. It would be Gakpo and Jackson. Munoz or Hall. I would go Lewis Hall. Have Bruno temper the captain, but first Manchester United is inconsistent. Southampton will park the bus away from home. The big losses against big teams came at St. Mary's. Fair enough. Those are fair concerns, I'd say, but in terms of the fixture matchup, I don't think you can get anything better for Bruno, who in his own right, I guess you can say that he has been relatively consistent this season. Like, for the price point that he's at, I think he has put up good enough numbers. Like, he's been someone that people completely wrote off. But if you actually analyze the returns, it's been okay. It's been okay. He's done better than a lot of other FPL assets that we predicted would do well. Oh yes, I see people mentioning Konate as well. The only issue with Konate for me is, can he play that many games in such a short period of time? And also, obviously, that would depend on how long Kwanzaa is out for and whether Konate can be rested. But we've seen Endo play centre back as well. So we'll see. Good thing is we don't need to move for these players now, at least. Am I doing team reviews right now? Yeah, I mean, pop your team in the chat and I'll try to answer them. Bench 1, Rogers, Wood, Iwobi, Robinson. Iwobi. Bench Iwobi. I think the numbers are catching up with Iwobi. Play 3, bench 1. João Pedro, Ahmad, Jimenez, and Sa. I bench João Pedro. Bench João Pedro in that combination. I have Haaland, Salah, Palmer, Isak. Whom should I captain? I would captain Haaland if I had Haaland. Sells or Raya, I would start Raya. Who do I keep on my bench? And also, Mazraoui be suitable to play instead of Gabriel? I'm not sure if Gabriel will return. Simple answer is I would not bench Gabriel in any game week. So I would start Gabriel Then if it's between Sells and Raya, I would also start Raya. I know it's not ideal to start double Arsenal defense, but if this weekend the North London derby comes around and Arsenal win 1-0 or 2-0, would you be very surprised? I don't think I'd be very surprised. Like, it could definitely happen that Spurs could score and that'll wipe out the clean sheet. But then again, there's also a good chance that, it could be a very tight game. And given that Arsenal right now may not be scoring lots of goals because firstly, Gabriel Jesus, who has been playing pretty well, is now injured. And then Harvard is also not firing in terms of his play right now. So if there's a way for them to get something from this North London derby, they're definitely going to have to keep a clean sheet against Spurs. And at least it's at the Emirates. So playing double Arsenal defense at the Emirates may be alright against Spurs. Verbruggen or Pickford? I start Verbruggen this week. Do you really think Isak is a better option in place of Salah because Isak is at 75%? I mean, the thing is, I do think like Isak will start. Like the yellow flag for me is just an indication that he was having a bit of an injury scare this past week. But I do think like he'll start, right? Based on what the press conference from Eddie Howe said. Palmer. I will get 25 points this week. Bench 1, Rogers, Wood, Iwobi, and Robinson. I would probably bench Iwobi in this spot. I have Trent and Enzo in my team, 2 free transfers. What do you think of transferring Trent for Lewis Hall, upgrading? So any transfers that involve selling Trent, I'm not for the idea of it. I don't have Trent, and I'm not in a rush to get him, but if I have Trent, I also wouldn't be in a rush to sell him. Like, it's pretty much that. Like, it's hard to explain the situation with Trent, but he's a typical, like, don't buy, don't sell, and just hold and just wait kind of situation with him. If he scores against Nottingham Forest, the narrative is just going to change and flip 100% again. Sashin's member in the chat says, I disagree. Bruno should be captain over Isak. United is very inconsistent. I agree with you. I agree with you in that the United attack or United as a whole is inconsistent. But you got to look at the matchup, and I think right now you can pretty much guarantee 90 minutes for Bruno Fernandes. He's going to be on penalties. And if there is any form of momentum that's going to build, at least it's at Old Trafford against a Southampton team. Like, arguably that's the best fixture matchup this week already. So I get it because you're watching and you're watching the United games from the perspective of a United fan, and we can see the inconsistencies, but I would pretty much gamble this week, I think. So fair enough. Stay with João Pedro or transfer for Raul Jimenez. Stay with João Pedro. Wood or Jimenez bench? I would bench Wood and start Jimenez. Spurs will score. I wouldn't be surprised if they score, but the thing is, I also wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal keep a clean sheet. Like, is that kind of situation where, firstly, it's at the Emirates. I think if it was at the Spurs Stadium instead, I might be in a situation. If I had someone like a Raya and Gabriel, I might be tempted to just, drop Raya for the other keeper. Yeah, I might be tempted to do that and not go with double Arsenal defense. But the thing is, it's at the Emirates as well. So start Munoz or Robinson. If it's between Munoz and Robinson, I think I would lean towards Munoz. Because Munoz has greater goal threat. Robinson has greater assist threat. Both of them this week, in terms of clean sheets, I'd say Robinson is marginally ahead, but because Munoz has the greater goal threat, I'll probably go with him. Wood or Jimenez bench? I'll bench Wood and I'll start Jimenez. Sell Semenyo for Ismail Sa? Nah, I just start Semenyo this week. Do I support a Singapore football team? Nah, I don't. Who do I bench between Wood, João Pedro, and Munoz? Munoz I would start, so it comes down to Wood or João Pedro. In which case, because I think João Pedro is quite risky to start this week, I will start Chris Wood. All right. Thoughts on João Pedro? Yeah, so basically for me, João Pedro, as I've said, like I do think like it is quite risky because he's not in a situation where I can't say that if he doesn't start that he won't come on. It's pretty much like as simple as that. Like because he's based on the codes going to train today and then they'll make a decision and then they're not gonna risk him at all. So basically they are going to make a calculated decision that we'll only know after the deadline. But the thing is, something similar to this happened earlier on in the season. And I remember very clearly because I had João Pedro earlier on in the season as well. And Hertzler said the same thing. We won't take a risk with him. I thought that, that kind of meant, and he also said that he was going to train. So I thought that, that pretty much means if he trains, he'll be fit to go. And I distinctly remember that game, he didn't start. So if this is obviously the injury is different this time, he could honestly be in a situation where he's really fit enough to go and then he could start. But what I would say this week is that there is enough risk to put me off starting João Pedro and benching him for someone like Rodgers, for example. Like if it's close between, say in my team, if I had João Pedro instead of Mateta, if I didn't make the João Pedro to Mateta move a few weeks ago, and I'm sitting with João Pedro now, would I start Rodgers ahead of João Pedro? The answer is yes. So yeah, that's pretty much, I guess, my thoughts on João Pedro. I wouldn't rule out the fact that if he doesn't start, that he can come on in the second half, like get a couple of minutes. I think it's possible. Start Virgil van Dijk or Robinson. Ooh, that's tricky. I guess I have to go with a better defense. So start Van Dijk. But Forest is the better attack. Watkins or Wood? I'll start Watkins ahead of Chris Wood. Start Kirkes or Caldwell? I would start Kirkes or Caldwell. I mean, Caldwell has the home fixture. Okay, I'm going to go Kirkes for the greater attacking threat. Captain Haaland or Bruno? I would captain Haaland. Bruno or Isak? I would captain Bruno. Best midfielder for 6.7. Can you afford Eze with that? If you can, I'll go Eze. Becky says, I don't trust Hertzler since that they once been twice shy. Yeah. Happy to help, Joel. Nice to see you in the chat again. All the best to you. Bench 1, Gabriel Munoz, Hall, and Van Dijk. I start Gabriel, and I'll start Lewis Hall. I bench either one of Munoz or Van Dijk. I'll leave that to you. Captain Haaland or Bruno? I would captain Haaland. Is it justifiable to captain Salah? Of course it is. Of course it is. Like Salah is still going to be captained very highly this week, I imagine. Like if you just want to get captaincy out of the way, just not think about it and just go with the flow. Like I don't mind it as well. It's just a thing where if there's a week to go against Salah, I do think like this is the week. I really rate the Nottingham Forest defense. Good evening. Who would you start out of Timber, and Robinson? I'm gonna imagine it's Cucurella. I'd say Robinson, to be honest. I'd say Robinson. Sa or Rogers? Sa. Review my team. It's called. I'll need your team ID if I do it, but maybe you could just put your team in the chat and then it'd be easier. Should I start Wood over João Pedro then? Bench João Pedro or Cunha? Yeah, I mean, so that's the thing, right? That's the thing. Like with João Pedro this week is very tricky, and it also depends on your own assessment of what's gonna happen. But honestly, I've shared my thoughts on João Pedro, and you know what I would do if I had João Pedro. Best Jesus replacement, I have 7.8 million. So there's if you don't have already, I would try as much as possible to get Isak. And then Chris Wood, but it's not really the entry point. So actually, honestly, Mateta is someone I would be eyeing up. Not just because I have Mateta, but yeah, he's someone I'd be eyeing up. It says, hey, Leon, hope the marriage prep is going well. Yeah, the marriage prep is going well. Like, honestly, there's a lot of things going on right now. Like, since I came back from London, I've had to catch up with work because I took some time off work to go to London to, yeah, you guys know, like watch the game, do the pod with Ross and stuff. That was really fun. But obviously now that I'm back, I have to catch up with work. So that's the reason why I haven't been able to upload videos this week. But I'll try to get as many out in the next few game weeks because I've managed to catch up with what I needed to do. But there's also the wedding that I need to plan, which is obviously a happy thing. So yeah, it's coming along as well. So yeah. The wedding is planned for June, by the way. So yeah, it's gonna kick on. The preparation is gonna enter the crunch time. So I do think like maybe if content takes a bit of a backseat the next few game weeks, you guys will know why. Okay, I'm gonna have to put Kingdom of Kai in timeout. I do apologize for that. All right. Oh wait, there's a let's see the question in the back. So Ismail Sarr or Ahmad or Bruno? What's the context? Are you buying? Are you selling? Are you starting? I need to know the context of that one. When do you plan on wildcarding? Great question. The honest answer is that it's up in the air. I will have a chip strategy video that I will upload next week. In that one, I'm pretty much going to share with you guys the strategy that I am probably going to use. So until then, I want to wait a little bit more. But right now, if you're asking me when I'm likely to wildcard, I can say either game week 30, and then I use that game week. If I wildcard in game week 30, it also means that I did end into blank game week 29. So that's one of the alternative. That's one of the strategies I could go for. The other one is saving the wild card all the way until game week 35, if possible. In that case, I did end into game week 34 instead. And then I wildcard in 35 and I bench boost in game week 36. So it may sound a bit confusing right now, but basically it would be either one of 35 or 30. Yeah, that's pretty much. I'll elaborate more in the video that I have next week. Is Isak likely to start? I think he will start. Gabriel or Aina in defense? Obviously Gabriel. Start Munoz or Robertson? I would start Munoz ahead of Robertson. 1,380 rank in the world. Very, very nice, Michael. What to do with Watkins? Do you think he will start? I think you start Watkins. Odin. Sell Foden for Bruno and captain him. I don't think I would do it this week. What do you think of captaining Mateta? I don't think I would do it as well. What do you think of selling Jesus? What do you think about not selling Jesus now and play Gabriel or Wood? Which one from these two for you? Gabriel. For sure, Gabriel. Sa, Ahmad, or Bruno? Starting. All right, starting. I mean, you have to start Bruno if it's among those three. You have to start Bruno, but why would you be benching Ismail Assar and Ahmad as well? Like, who else are your other players? What do you think of captaining Mateta? I don't think I would do it. Look really young, thank you very much. Bench Chris Wood or Rogers? I will start Rogers ahead of Chris Wood. Thank you for the content. Bench 1, Pedro, Wood, and Rogers. I will bench João Pedro. Start 1, Ahmad, Eze, Murphy. I will start Eze. Okay. Lots of questions coming in. Let's check the time. All right. Okay, so I'm going to call it a day very, very soon. So if you haven't already, please do drop your question in the chat. I'm going to do a speed round of answering. And then we're going to call it a day. Like maybe a couple 5 more minutes or something. I have Trent, Burn, Castagna, Collins, Kirkes. Midfield is Salah, Palmagon, Ahmad, Ismail Assar. Forward is Jackson, Isak, and Raul. Which 3 would you bench? I bench 2 defenders for sure. Probably bench Collins and Castagna. Collins and Castagna? Oh, no. I bench Collins and Kirkes. That's 3. You have to bench one of your midfielders as well. That one is tricky. It comes down to either one of Ahmad or Ismail Assar because I would start all of your forwards in Isak, Raul Jimenez, and Jackson. So I'll leave that one to you. Start 2, Aina, Luka Dean, 8 Nuri. I go Luka Dean and 8 Nuri for the slightly more attacking threat. It's only because Aina is playing Liverpool, to be honest. If not, I would start Aina over 8 Nuri any day. Enzo replacement. Ahmad, I guess, if you are desperate to sell Enzo. I don't think you need to rush to sell him, though. Start Wood over Enzo, yes. Start Van Dijk or Robinson. I'll start Van Dijk. Should I do Foden for Bruno? I'm not doing that move. Thoughts on Ndai for Game Week 24? Possible. But I might be more tempted with someone like Calvert-Lewin if he comes back into form. We'll be able to see more from these next few game weeks. Thoughts on De Bruyne? I don't think I would go there. Start Robinson or Vardiol. Chewy, nice to see you. Robinson or Vardiol, I would go Robinson. I'd be happy to just bench Vardiol because honestly, I expect Brentford to score this week. And in that case, Vardiol would be largely relying on attacking returns. Start 2. Basically, I just don't trust the Manchester City defense. Start 2, Rogers, Iwobi, and Ismail Assar. I go Rogers and Ismail Assar. Thoughts on Sar and Jackson to Bruno Fernandes and João Pedro / Raul for a -4? Nope, I wouldn't do it. I would keep start Cunha, Wood, or Rogers. I would start Rogers. Wood or Cunha this week, I would start Wood. I would start Wood this week. Yep. Home fixture for Chris Wood, pretty much. Raul or João Pedro. Raul Jimenez. Eze and Munoz together worth it, or instead of Eze striker for Savinho, Eze and Munoz. Darren says, "Hello, hope you've been well settled in after the New Year's and UK trip." Thank you very much. Yeah, I have been getting up to speed, but yeah, I have managed to settle most that I need to do now. Would you bring in Jackson or Raul for Jesus. I would bring in. I honestly would put Mateta in there, and I have Mateta ahead of those two. Raul Jimenez, the thing is, I've looked at Fulham's fixtures. You're happy to have him for the next two, but after that, it does get tricky. I honestly go Mateta, Jackson, then Raul Jimenez as Jesus replacements. Yep, fair enough. Thank you very much. Kin Doichi, 85. Start 4 defense with Caldwell or use Rogers instead. Rogers for sure, backing the attacker. Start Wood or Rogers if I own Everton defense and no pool defense. Then Wooding. In that case, I probably go Wood. Try and maximize the returns that I can get. Bench Robinson, Wood. Sorry, bench Robinson, Rogers, or Gabriel. I would start Gabriel. So it's between Robinson or Rogers. Likely benching the defender instead of the attacker. Start Iwobi or Wood. I would start Wood. Timber to Munoz for free. Oh, I had this question just now. Timber to Munoz for free. I don't think I would do it. I think I said the same thing just now. Like I think Timber starts against Tottenham. I don't think it's a move you must make as well. So at this point, if you can save transfers, you try to save as much as you can. Lost Aussie, happy to help. Arthur says Jabir to Mateta or Enzo to Ahmad. I prefer the João Pedro to Mateta move, to be honest. Start Pedro or Rogers. I would start Rogers ahead of Pedro. Okay. I think we've done it. Thank you all for tuning in to today's stream. It's been pretty fun. And also, thank you all for bearing with me for the lack of content over the past few days. Had a bit of a break. But yeah, I'm going to get back into recording videos for game week 22 onwards. So keep a lookout for the videos that will be coming. And also, I'll try to put out a chip strategy video. But instead of doing a chip strategy video where I explain all pretty much the different game weeks, I want to genuinely share with you guys what strategy I will be using, because I think that is what you guys want to know. So I'll be sharing with you guys at least 2 strategies that I'm going to go with and explain why I think I'm going to go with those strategies. So I'll have that lined up for next week. If not, for now, for game week 21, I realize I haven't even spoken much about my team, but this is pretty much what I'm going to go with. It's only a question of who I captain, right? So I'll post the team as always on Instagram. But if not, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Thank you all of you guys for tuning in. Very, very nice seeing you in the chat as well, all of you guys. VJ, Chewy, Michael, FPL Down Under, Darren, Toby as well. Right, so that's it for today's stream. All the best for Game Week 21. And I'll catch you guys in the Game Week 22 content coming very, very soon. Bye-bye.